Welcome. My name
Welcome
is
back.
Jamie. I almost said Jack because I thought we're going to do that little game again.
Yeah, we never corrected that. My name is Jack. I'm joined here by my co-host, very lower down than me co-host, Jamie.
It's funny you say that, Jack.
Week,
what research have you done for this episode?
I did like 5 minutes before this episode, and there's absolutely nothing to talk about. So we're actually going to skip this one. We're just going to pick it up again next week.
Just gonna correct my co-host, Jack. There's plenty of news to get our teeth into this week.
Jamie, co-host sounds like a very fun thing to be. And
Co-host. Just he brings the chocolate.
I do, and Jamie brings the ass.
Speaking of which, got my espresso. So, quick
Got a very
espresso
cozy
review.
mug here.
Don't buy. If you've got an espresso machine, do not buy Lidl coffee for it, because when you have it in a cafetiere, it's not too bad, right? But when you add a bit of milk, you add a bit of sugar, it's not too bad. But when you're having it as a raw espresso shot, just pure, this is a really trash espresso. I really hate it. It's very, very, very sour.
Well, it did cost 15 pence.
It didn't. It was their deluxe version. I had their ordinary version, and it was really bad. And so I thought, well, I guess I'll go for their deluxe version.
I guess I'll splash the cash.
It tastes damn near identical to their normal version in a bad way.
Was it in the middle aisle? Is that Lidl or Aldi? One has a middle aisle.
Both of them do. They're both identical.
They're the same shop.
They have very similar looking at logos, branding, physical shelf space.
Well, I have a very nice tea here. I can't name the brand, partly for legal reasons, partly because I just pulled the bag out of our teapot and don't know what box it came out of.
Legal reasons. It's one of the banned tea brands.
We don't want Monk taking us off the air.
I have actually purchased some beans that are arriving anytime now, really.
Magic beans?
So if there's a horrible edit or no edit at all because I forgot to do it in post, that's because I'm picking up my beans.
There you go. I'll just continue talking as if you're still there. If people are listening and not watching, they won't even know you're gone.
Exactly. I'll make sure to do it when you're in the middle of a sentence.
The power of the podcast.
So today we're going to talk about some news.
Jump right into the news.
We had... Wow. I don't think it was an announcement. We had a game announcement.
Yeah.
And this isn't this isn't an announcement. It's the first trailer for a said game. So we're going to go through this. So we've got the Mass Effect Trilogy trailer was dropped a couple of days ago.
Okay.
It's
surely it's just footage from the first 3 Mass Effect games.
Or it's a remaster. So
Fair.
it's new.
There's a bit of excitement.
No, it's exciting because it's not like it. From what I can tell, it's not like the worst offender because we love our remasters on Open Beta. Sorry.
I was just going to say, I always love finding out, if it's actually a remaster or a remake or, I don't know, the same game again. And I love watching Jamie get extremely angry about it all.
This is what I would call like
an actual remaster.
A remaster, but it's not. Even within the remaster realm, there's like different tiers of effort, right? It's like a medium. It looks like a medium effort remaster,
cool.
Which is fine. It's good. And like a reasonable one. Like loads of updated. Apparently, there's like tens of thousands of textures that have been redone, and the lighting's better, and the game does look better. But because it's a trilogy of really long games, I feel like it should be pushed into the high effort realm because that is quite a lot of work to remaster 3 games.
Yeah, that's probably why they didn't do it high effortly.
Yeah, but they could have gone low effort. They could have just said, "Oh, it's now 4K." which they have done, but they've also made it look better. Um, the the game very much still looks like a PlayStation 3 game.
Fair.
As in, like it looks better, but it's not like.
I mean, it's hard because so much of that is just animations and stuff they're never going to redo.
It's mainly the animations, yeah.
Yeah.
Which that's the thing with the Telltale sign, isn't it?
Yeah, the Telltale games. I mean, the thing with Mass Effect now is I feel like people are so disappointed by the ending, and it's a pretty like famously disappointing ending.
They retconned it though, didn't they? But they changed the ending.
Did they actually retcon it though? I thought there was always just fan theories about the ending that was never actually confirmed.
No, they definitely changed the ending for sure. Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. Well, I guess at least says that then.
They either changed it completely, or they might have added another branch which was more satisfying. I think that's what they did.
They put that in Mass Effect Andromeda.
Yeah. It's great actually. Mass Effect 4 is back in the Milky Way. They don't want to go anywhere near Andromeda.
Unsurprisingly, back in the Milky Way. Is that a sci-fi pun?
I meant literally. There was no
Here
pun.
It comes.
There was no pun.
No, but it's a bit of a sci-fi pun.
How so?
Well, because you didn't say like, oh, it's back on the table.
I mean, literally, physically, they are going back to the Milky Way galaxy. I mean that very literally.
Okay, you did mean it extremely literally.
Yeah.
I thought you were doing a sci-fi pun for it's back on the table, and then when you said literally, I thought you meant that Mass Effect 4 was hurtling through the sky as we speak.
Basically, you thought I was being a comedy genius.
Yeah,
I'm just a factual genius.
Just a rational, logical machine.
I haven't played Mass Effect 1, 2, or 3, so I'm kind of thinking I'm going to get this, actually. I'm pretty hyped.
I've played 2 and 3, but not for a very long time.
Yeah, this is the sort of thing where I wouldn't be interested in it at all if I'd already... Because it's such a big investment of time.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I want to get into it.
Probably would be fair.
Like, it's a game. I only started really getting to know about Mass Effect when the second game came out.
Yeah, same.
By that point, games were always incredibly expensive because of our age, so it was kind of I had to choose between that and something else.
Yeah. They're pretty replayable though.
Even more so now that you have to spend another £50 to get them again. Apparently, I'm sorry. I know this is. I love my PC topics. I'm going to throw it out there. It has really, really high system requirements, considering it still looks like a PlayStation 3 game.
Yeah.
It asks for a 1070 recommended, which is pretty crazy actually. That's like right up there.
It feels like they probably haven't optimized it at all. I mean, think about games that came out around the same time as Mass Effect 3 and their system requirements.
Yeah, I
know they've upped the textures and stuff, but realistically, that shouldn't be too intensive.
I mean, when did Mass Effect 3 come out?
God, like 2012.
So in 2012, I actually know the best graphics card that you could get when that came out was, reasonably get was a GTX 580. So the fact that they're asking for 1070 is a little bit much.
They're doubling it.
Anyway, more news. Since we're I just start talking way too much about PC specs. There's a PC game revealed, which I am so stoked for. Do you know what it is?
Does it have high specs?
It probably will.
I'm going to guess it's Viva Pinata 3.
It's not, actually. That's like extreme. You're very close.
Yeah.
It's Total War Warhammer 3.
Oh, of course, it's Total Warhammer 3.
So this game,
Yeah,
it's this is an announcement, right? It's not. This isn't actually like, oh, they haven't actually technically announced it yet, although it was very much definitely coming, and they always said that it was going to be a trilogy. So it was not like
yeah,
a surprise. It was very much expected to come out this year as well. But now we've got that logo. We've got confirmation of some of the factions.
yeah,
A little bit of story information, and it
yeah,
looks so good.
yeah. I mean, you've got to love Total War Warhammer. It does look really good. One of the things I saw that was quite exciting was I've never actually heard it said out loud, but I'm pretty sure it's Cathay. They're like this, like Imperial Chinese race, and they're included as a base faction. I'm pretty certain they don't even have miniatures in the actual tabletop game.
I looked, so I don't know much about Warhammer, so I had to look up. I'm going to pronounce it Cathay,
Cathay it could be.
because I've seen that word pronounced Cathay before. But anyway,
That's fair.
I looked them up on Google, and there wasn't much.
Yeah,
At
they're
all.
pretty niche. It's cool. I'm trying to think of a 40k equivalent, but I can't, and I don't think it would mean anything to you if I did. But yeah, it's really awesome.
What's very awesome is that, looking at all the rest of the factions they have left remaining that they could do, by the time the game's released all its DLC, we will have all of the factions. That there'll be every single faction in Warhammer
likely
will be represented across those 3 games, which is so cool.
Well, and more technically.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, it's really cool. I'm getting really into like Warhammer and 40k and stuff lately. I don't know what it is. It is just cool stuff.
It is cool. I never got. Well, I do. Sorry, that's a lie. I own Total War, Warhammer 1 and 2. I have only played 2. I bought 1 so that I could get all the stuff from 1 and transfer it over to 2.
Brilliant.
And it's so good. I didn't play it a lot, and I think it's just because I was just busy at the time. But it's a really good game.
Bit of a time investment as well, right? It's not like I don't know, shorter games like your average RTS.
It's actually stupid how crazy in depth it is. Like,
it's like a game of Warhammer.
I can't like the amount of content. If you look at all the DLC as well, I mean, when you include the DLC, it's just beyond stupid. I refused. I reckon like 90% of the people who have bought all the stuff for that game haven't played anywhere near the amount of content there is. It's crazy.
You know, people always say about how chess is so cool and how there's infinite amounts of moves you can do and stuff. What about Warhammer?
No, it's true. No, when you look at strategy games, there's way more combinations in strategy games compared to chess.
Well, yeah. I mean, you know, by the very fact you can put a miniature anywhere on the board in your deployment zone at the start.
Yeah.
Immediately infinite options.
To that chess.
How many first moves do you have? Yeah.
Oh, I mean,
checkmate.
Would love to know the number of possible combinations of things you could do in like a game of Civ. Like, from any given particular starting point, on average.
Yeah.
But for those who don't know, Warhammer 3 is centered around chaos. You can play as chaos, you can go against chaos. There's a dying god. So all the Warhammer Total War games, they've got like an objective mode on a new map, and then Warhammer 2 introduced the Mortal Empires campaign, which is a more traditional gigantic map, which is combines the first game's map and the second game's map for a more traditional, just kind of supremacy, take over the world type thing. But the objective in Warhammer 3 is there's a dying god in the center of the map, and you have to either compete. You basically compete to control the dying god's like powers as it fades, and you can be the evil factions or the good factions, and they play completely differently, which is really fun.
Yeah, it looks awesome. I mean, I'm now just looking through like random concept art for Total War Warhammer 3. It's so exciting.
The announcement trailer was just CG trailer, but the CG trailer is actually pretty cool if you watch it.
Yeah, I mean, I always think that we've said that before, where it's always better to get a gameplay trailer, but if the CG trailer is actually very good, then it's enough to get you hype. Or it's Arc 2 trailer and it's Vin Diesel running around like Xavier Renegade Angel, and I have no interest in the game.
There aren't actually that many games where a CG trailer would get me hyped. And most of them are.
What about a live
Nintendo.
action trailer? Would you put that on the same level?
I don't think it really matters if it's live action or not. I think what matters is that
if you're seeing
they
the
are
gameplay,
revealing something about the actual game that is exciting within the CG or live action trailer.
Yeah, I mean, this is basically revealing that the game is going to be like gargantuan.
Yeah.
And the war's going to be crazy and giant.
So, like,
yeah,
Super Smash Bros.
Yeah.
Like, the Smash Bros. Ultimate reveal trailer was just CG.
Yeah.
And it was absolutely, completely fine. Because it's like, first you think it's a Splatoon trailer and it's not. And then it's like, oh my god, it's Smash. And then it's like, okay, Inkling's in. And then you see Breath of the Wild Link even.
Yeah.
And
oh my god, you did Gamer's greatest sin.
I think everyone does that.
I would never.
Anyway, moving on.
Poor Link. Yeah, it's true. I would agree. The example I always think of is Skyrim. You saw no gameplay, but that trailer was absolutely incredible.
But it gives you enough, because Tamriel is a pre-designed continent, so even the fact that it's in Skyrim, it gives you enough information about the game to get excited, and you can then delve into all the lore about Skyrim before you play the game.
And there's dragons.
Yeah,
and that's all anyone cared about.
Well,
yeah. Next news.
I think since we're talking, I mentioned Zelda, the male character very just now.
Yeah,
and
boy Zelda.
Just a quick one. So there was rumours a while ago about a Zelda Netflix show being made.
Okay, yeah, I think I remember that.
But it was only rumours.
I think I saw what you're talking about.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure I saw an article that said this isn't rumours.
Yeah, so it's been now confirmed to be cancelled.
Oh, okay.
It's like it's now. Oh yeah, it's real. It's not happening though.
You know what? For the best.
Yeah, that'd have been terrible.
Link's mute. Would Link feature? Would he speak? I suppose he spoke in the cartoon, didn't he?
I just want it to be exactly like the cartoon. What's that bloody phrase that Link says? Like, oh, excuse me, princess.
It's like the campiest thing ever. I want it to be the Witcher TV show. It's still Henry Cavill, but he's got like a big blonde wig on, and he just doesn't speak. Or he does speak, but he speaks like he's Geralt, and he's like, fuck.
The only way I think the only way you could do a Zelda show would to not have Link in it, and the main character would have to be a side character who we've never seen before.
It'd be Gorgon 3.
It's funny because the first thing that came to my mind was a Gorgon 2.
Yeah, Gorgons are like the best thing in all of Zelda franchise.
I think I could see them doing a story centered around the Azora or the birds. I can't remember the Rito. I could see that being a thing.
Yeah, I can see either that, or you do have Link in it, but he's in like a squad of other people who address the fact that he doesn't speak.
And he's just always eating.
Yeah, exactly.
Classic Link.
Go Hyrule Warriors with it. Especially if it was animated, then I can see that working. Like Breath of the Wild cutscenes, but higher quality.
Kind of makes me just feel a bit gross, really, thinking about it. I think actually, overall, I think it would suck.
Yeah, I just think it's completely unnecessary.
You know what
Again,
else suck?
it's the conversation we were having last week about how you just don't need TV shows or movies, video games, because the interactivity is what elevates them.
I mean, in the case of Zelda, it's not that it elevates it; like it is the gameplay. Like that is the whole thing. The story is very much second place to the gameplay in that.
Yeah,
like, big time.
This is such a repeat, so I'm sorry. But we were saying about Uncharted, about how it doesn't have a very good story, really. Like, it does have very good, at least in the fourth one, it has very good character moments, character building, and you really care about these people. But the actual story is quite generic if you put it in film, because it's just treasure hunting. Mm-hmm. It's the same with Zelda. It's just like, oh, this is fantasy nonsense.
And Zelda's just the absolute... I mean, it's not as bad as Mario, but for a game that has a story, it's like one of the most... It is purposely completely formulaic. It's they've made it so that it's the same story every time. That is the whole point. Like,
yeah,
it's not supposed to be like that.
Anything else. Mario is getting an animated movie next year, isn't it?
I was just about to mention that
made by Illumination
was originally supposed to come out already, right?
Perhaps, I thought
it was meant to come out this year or last year.
I think it might have been, to be fair. I've just googled it because I completely forgot it existed until we just mentioned it.
I have.
Like, are Mario and Luigi going to speak, or are they going to be like Minions where they don't speak? Maybe that's why Illumination's making it. They're just going to shout Italian catchphrases. It sounds like the worst thing I've ever heard in my life.
There is no way that is going to be a good movie. That it will be at best average. There's no way it's going to be good. I cannot see.
The thing is, we had a Mario movie in 1993, and it was perfect.
Yeah.
You can't top that.
No.
I'm being sarcastic, by the way.
No, but you're dead serious. No, I'm taking that as being dead serious, because you're right. You can't... It has to be stupid and silly. It can't... I think Mario in the games is kind of... He hasn't got... I don't know, it's not... It hasn't got the soul. I'm not sure if that's the way we're saying it. It's very much a gamey game. Like there's no material they could draw off of for it to be an entertaining movie. The characters.
There's no story.
The characters are generic as they come.
Yeah.
Like everything looks very like fantastical and wonderful, whatever. But it's not. There's no character at all. Like there's no character in there to make a movie.
They are about as video gamey as video games can be.
Yeah, like Donkey Kong. Like, oh, here he comes, the big Donkey Kong reveal. And the rest of the movie is just woo!
But maybe he'll be played by Dennis Hopper.
Can we have him played by freaking what's his name?
I feel this joke is ruined by your inability to remember a random actor's name.
Now we're going to move on.
The thing is, now I'm desperate to know who you were thinking of.
No, I'm not going to say it now because it's embarrassing.
Okay,
so
let's move on.
Speaking of Netflix shows that have been
cancelled,
Sonic Prime, a new animated show coming to Netflix that is actually real. It has a name.
Sonic Prime.
Apparently,
they just give these shows names, don't they?
I've read that a Sonic Prime exists. For 2022,
Fair. I love there's a picture of the Sonic Prime logo, and behind it, standing there, are Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles. But for some reason, it's them from Sonic Heroes, the 2006, I believe, video game. So it's very weird because that's just an extremely old-fashioned image, and the animation looks terrible.
That's not the official logo, by the way.
No, I know. It just cracked me up that someone put there are more recent renditions of Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles you can use.
Sure.
2003 was Sonic Heroes, man. Sonic's a weird example because it's another one where you think this cannot work in a TV show. However, because Sonic has had so many animated shows before, it's at the point where you kind of can make it a TV show. And also, they really try hard to have serious plot lines in Sonic games, which ends up making the games worse, but I guess it makes the TV shows better. But that's what you have to do with Mario and Zelda if you're going to do a TV show. You have to completely change it.
Sonic Boom, as a TV show, works because it accepts that it's absurd. And it goes all in.
It takes the piss out of itself, yeah.
But Mario can't do that. You see what I mean? Like, Mario hasn't got the character and personality to pull that off. Sonic has a really cringe, stupid, over-the-top personality, which you can make fun of. There's nothing to make fun of Mario. He is, as a character, as sterile as they come. There is nothing interesting about Mario as a character at all.
You're right there, yeah.
Like, the funniest thing that Mario has ever done in his life is when he falls asleep in Odyssey and he starts dreaming about different pasta, and he starts saying like ravioli. That is about that is the best that Mario can do when it comes to comedy.
Yeah, it's like all you can do is Italian stereotypes, and that's hardly high art.
Have you, except for like laughter of joy, I would challenge you to remember a time when you've laughed at a character in Mario. Like, there is
Jimmy, I can think of a great example.
Go on.
In Mario and Luigi Partners in Time, Mario has some great dialogue.
No.
He goes,
no. Mario Partners in Time, we're not counting that. I'm talking mainline, because Mario Partners in Time is obviously really funny.
Also, but he still doesn't have a character.
Well, no.
He still doesn't speak.
But even Luigi, who's the comic relief, he's not funny, really, is he? You don't go, oh,
No,
Luigi. It's just kind of like,
Luigi has Luigi far more character than Mario, because he's Luigi's like scared of things, and he's a little apprehensive, but he'll still try really hard and cares about people. But Mario's kind of like just hero.
He's
a good thing.
He's a blank slate, but he's not a blank slate because can't even do anything with him. He's just Mario. He's
a blank slate so that the audience can put themselves into Mario's body.
Sure. That's what they always say about... Which is
what you need in a video game, but in a movie that doesn't work.
Well, they always say that about... Yeah, that's fine. In the video game, it's fine. Maybe that's what makes Sonic a little bit weird and worse, is because Sonic is so... so over the top.
Yeah, because when it's Mario, you're like, I can imagine what I would say in this scenario if I was Mario. But when it's Sonic, it's like, oh, well, I guess I can't imagine anything, because Sonic's screaming catchphrases constantly.
I've got to disagree with you here. No one has ever played a Mario game and been like, I guess I would do this in this situation. No one does that.
What, do you not imagine that you're in the Mushroom Kingdom?
What you mean is, in an RPG, when you have a silent protagonist, that is what they do in that. But even then...
Like, a Mario RPG.
Whenever I've played an RPG, normally a JRPG, and then the character, especially when there's text box, and then the character you're playing as actually speaks, I weep tears of joy, because I cannot stand silent protagonists anymore. It's like when you're playing like a DS or before, it's kind of like whatever, because it goes with the art style. But if you're playing like a really flashy, high budget modern game, and then with voice acting, but then the protagonist doesn't say anything, it breaks the game for me.
For me, I don't mind if everyone else addresses that the protagonist doesn't speak, but when they're acting like the protagonist does speak, Like they'll say something to the
I
protagonist,
know.
he'll be silent, and they'll react to what he said,
I
and
know.
you're supposed to fill in the gaps yourself of, oh, this is what I said. It's like,
But
can
then
I
the
just
characters.
pick the dialogue option?
I know. It's so
But if
annoying.
it's something where it's implied that the character is literally not speaking, that definitely takes it out for me less. Like Portal, Shell's mute, and it's addressed that she's mute.
Okay,
I know
I'm
that's different
thinking
because it's not an RPG, but that's just an example I'm thinking
fine.
of.
that's okay. But then you have Persona 5 where it's like, oh, Joker, he is so cool. Like, he is the funniest guy. I love him. Doesn't say a word the whole game. And he literally goes, the only dialogue he has is, ugh, yeah, right, let's go. Like, occasionally.
Yeah.
Fun fact, probably already said this because I think it's a very fun fact.
Yeah.
Joker is voiced by Xander Mobius, who also is the voice actor for the menu in Super Smash Bros.
Oh, really? That is a fun fact.
So
he was in Smash Bros. Twice.
Yeah, when he says Joker, he's announcing himself.
Me! I wonder how many voice actors there are in Smash Brothers who voice multiple characters. I bet there's like many that we're not aware of. Charles Martinet voices everyone from Mario to Charizard.
Charles Martinet accounts for probably the highest percentage of all the characters. He
voices many Mario characters, doesn't he? I'm pretty sure.
At the very least, he's done in Smash Bros. He's got Mario, Luigi, Wario, Waluigi. I know that.
And Dr. Mario.
And Dr. I have a PhD.
I like Dr. Mario just speaks normally. Oh, it's looking quite serious. Yeah, going back to the silent RPG characters, for me, I'm satisfied if at the beginning of the game, the edgy sidekick character talks to you and then you don't respond, and then he says, "Not a talker, eh?" And then for the rest of the game, it's addressed that your character's mute.
Yeah, but I don't like that either because you can't realistically be friends with someone like who you like. You can be friends with someone who doesn't talk, but you can't. The way that they are friends with these people is so ridiculous. Like they'll say stuff like, "Thank you for saving the world, Joker," and it's like he just walks off. Like that is a punk. Like okay, he saved the world, but you can't just not say anything. Like if he,
it's like, can he give me a hug?
If he had his tongue ripped out and he was mute or something, you could be very sympathetic towards him. But you can't then say he's the funniest guy you've ever met. Like I refuse to say that. That's just. And like if they proved that he was sitting there doing like some really funny like visual gags
juggling
to make up for his lack of a voice, then I'd be like, all right, you can be silent and still be funny. But he's not. He has his hands in his pockets for like 90% of the game. Not even joking. Yeah. Anyway,
that's fair. I feel like this is a specific example now that I cannot counteract because I don't know enough about Persona.
Yeah, apologies.
Yeah, no, I mean, for me, I prefer it if a character can either speak, in an RPG at least, can either speak and I can choose their dialogue, or I guess if it's a set character but they're very well established, then obviously I don't mind. But if you're trying to make me step into the character's shoes a bit more, or not even step into their shoes a bit more, but just kind of become the character more, then either I prefer silence or dialogue options.
Speaking of interaction between the player and the character you're playing as, Google Stadia has closed their internal studios.
They have. I think people have about 5 years until all their games are gone forever.
Where did you hear that from?
Probably you.
I said 5 years to you yesterday. It's just funny because
that's funny because I didn't remember that you told me that, but then when you said where'd you hear that from, I thought, oh, he obviously told me that.
No. What do you think about Stadia?
It's got pros and cons, right? it's kind of a cool idea that you can get all these games for like much less money than you'd usually spend and stuff. But there's just that same issue of you never truly own any of these games. And like the example I was thinking, I don't think it's on the Stadia, but imagine if you're a kid playing something like Fortnite on a Stadia-esque system for years, and then one day they're just like, it's gone. Like, that kid freak out.
It makes progression in games meaningless if at any moment it could just disappear.
Like, if I had just lost all of my Skyrim progress, is there like a way you can download your save or something?
No, nothing like that. No.
There's nothing at all?
No.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's fine for some games. If it's either like a short form game or something with not much replayability, or then it's fine. But if it's just a big game that I want to invest a lot of time into, then I'm just never going to want to play it on a streaming service where it just might vanish.
Yeah, it's all about options, right? Like, I acknowledge that I enjoy Games Pass. I wouldn't want to invest a ton of time into a Game Pass game because at that point I would feel like it could be taken down at any moment.
Yeah.
But then the option is there to buy it if I want to buy it.
Yeah, I mean, it's always nice for the consumer to have more choice.
Which includes on Game Pass. If you get a game on Game Pass and you really like it, and you want to keep it, you get a discount on Games Pass if you buy it. So it's. But Stadia, you haven't. You might not have any hardware. I don't really understand who it's for. Because it's only available in a very few select countries, all of which are rich countries. Like, I would 100% get it if they were mainly targeting poorer countries, because it's like, then that's great. Like, they can.
Yeah, people who can't afford the hardware to play these games. But
the problem is, not only is it not available in those countries, you still need to buy the games for full price. You still need to have a really good internet connection. Yeah. Which is in itself not only expensive, but also you have to live in the right area anyway. You have to buy the controller. And if you want to have the pro version, you have to pay a monthly subscription as well. It's not that cheap.
No, you are right. I think I was thinking it works more like Game Pass, but there's not really an advantage to using Stadia, is there? And they've really pushed it.
Yeah,
but they never really, like you say, they like in all the adverts and stuff, they never really address what it's for.
No,
like, why should I get this over just
You're right.
a PC or a console?
You're so
it's just
right.
Like, play the games you love with Stadia. Why?
Because you can get an Xbox Series X with Games Pass included.
Yeah.
For £30 a month.
Yeah.
For 2 years.
Yeah.
That is a way better value proposition.
Yeah, that's insane. And that's something that's so cohesive for even someone who doesn't know anything about video games. Like a parent or a grandparent buying something for their kid. Like, I don't know anything about this, but they want the new Xbox, and I can apparently get this for £30 a month. That sounds really good. That's like my phone plan.
That's super affordable.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also, you keep the physical product. Like, you own it. You own the game.
This is now mine. Yeah, but then Stadia, it's just like, I don't know. It's just a bit confusing, I guess.
Also, apparently you can't even get it on the latest Chrome sticks.
Chromecasts.
Chromecast. You can't even get it on there yet. I think what?
Yeah, it feels like that's the sort of thing they would want to be targeting.
It's so weird. Like, it's like they really don't. They didn't even. They poured money into the concept and also the advertising. Haven't really followed through. Oh, one more thing. There's a great game called Judgment, which I sent you a message of this yesterday. Which was coming to PC. It's already out on consoles. It came out last year. was coming to PC, and now it's been delayed on PC because it's now going to be timed exclusive on Stadia. Who has a gaming PC and Stadia?
I mean, when did they announce it was going to be a timed exclusive on Stadia as well? Was this after it was announced that Stadia was shutting down?
Yeah, it was. No, Stadia's not shutting down.
I mean, it will though, won't it?
Yeah, but what could happen is that Google decides to buy a load of exclusives instead.
Okay, I guess.
Which
it seems like a weird business decision to me.
Yeah, Google's always shutting down stuff and making weird decisions. It's so weird.
Yeah. Yeah, so... I know I'm kind of a bit of a hypocrite because I'm like, love my PlayStation exclusives, but Stadia exclusives are a bit spooky, aren't they?
No, that's a different thing though, because, well, I mean, Stadia exclusives made from the ground up, funded by Google. It's a shame because most people won't play it, but I haven't got anything against that because it's funded by Google.
Yeah.
Whereas just buying the rights to an exclusive deal absolutely sucks.
Yeah.
Like Epic Game Store. Like we're just gonna throw money so that some people can't buy it on their preferred platform. That sucks.
Yeah.
Whereas Sony's different because they own the studios. They can do what they want.
Oh yeah. No, that is true in fairness.
And also, Sony have demonstrated that their studios are very high quality.
Well, yeah. So, you trust them to make these exclusives because you know they can.
Yeah.
Yeah, good times. Stadia.
You could argue that the chance of an exclusive being good is higher because they don't have to worry as much about appealing to a wide demographic of people.
Yeah. And
because they're getting funded by Sony.
Yeah, and from a technology level, they don't have to make sure that the game is optimized for multiple systems, stuff like that.
Yeah, definitely.
And it probably is more competitive to make the game better because it's kind of representing that console more.
Yeah, and like if they need to delay it, they'll probably get that delay. Whereas an independent company might have investors breathing down their necks, like CD Projekt Red. Release the game.
Does that make Cyberpunk an indie game?
No, it's funny because technically, yes. CD Projekt Red are an independent developer publisher, so it is an indie game.
That's pretty funny.
Also, CD Projekt Red don't actually have that many developers compared to like Rockstar. There's like a tenth or something. There's way less developers.
Yeah. So
yeah, there we have it.
Indie. This is somewhat unrelated, and I won't go into too much detail. But I was looking at applying for jobs the other day, and there was one at Rockstar, and it was a night shift for a very kind of normal office job in a video game studio, and it made me think they must just consistently have people working half in the day and half at night, so that people they're just constantly making games for 24 hours a day. Once these people shift her up, these other people come in.
I personally wouldn't want to be on a night shift myself.
I wouldn't want to, but I didn't apply for that one.
There's plenty of industries which do night shifts all the time, so why not do it with games? I
mean, yeah, I know. I don't know. It's just like, night at the museum security guard makes sense. You need someone there at night. But just office, permanent workers, permanent stream. I don't know. It just seemed really hilarious to me. Like that's how they guarantee this quality. There's just 4 groups of workers, constant rotation.
But that's good, though,
I don't know if that is how it works, but that's the impression I got.
But that's a good thing, because that ensures that they're not overworking the day people or the night people. There's always people there, so they don't need to.
It's true. I just think surely that creates issues with, you've got so many people working on the same thing. Surely there's a disconnect because you've got different groups doing surely the same work. I don't know how it works. Very interesting. Definitely, it's far better than crunch. I'm not saying that.
Yeah. Because you know what it's in your contract at least. Like if you think it's a crap deal, then you have the option to say no. Whereas crunch is not the same thing. Crunch is an indefinite, not contracted, undefined time length.
Yeah, definitely. Just something I found I thought was interesting.
Yeah, very interesting.
It's the only one of that I've seen where there's been a night shift available for this sort of job.
Well, you're saying about the overlap of jobs, but I met someone who... Oh, one sec.
I believe Jamie's beans have arrived. As you can see in the background there, that's Jamie's guitar. When he returns, he's going to play us a little tune. It's going to be a Jamie original. And we will then spend the second half of the podcast discussing the melody of the Jamie original and giving it a rating out of 7 stars. Hello.
Sorry about that.
Magic beans arrived.
I knew someone who animated their job was animating the wings on certain animated characters in this movie, and that was their entire job whilst working on this movie was they were wing animator for these few characters. So that's I feel like I don't know this for sure because I'm not a developer, but they probably just glue things together. You have your own little mini project, and then they glue. That's then added on to who whatever else people are doing. I guess I don't know.
Yeah, it's much easier to do that in Paper Mario. You can chuck all these different assets together, and they kind of work stylistically. But then you do it with GTA, and suddenly, like, Michael's got a big realistic body and an anime head.
I haven't got a clue. It just astounds me how games can have a single artistic vision.
Yeah,
I have no idea how games can do that.
I think that of anything, like watching like an animation, like you watch like old Simpsons episodes. I mean, I know now it's digital and they've probably got just set assets they pick from, but back when it was like hand drawn and stuff, like how did they have so many people manage to, convey the same style? It's very impressive.
It is, yeah. So,
and that was Stadia.
That
was the Stadia
that's
news.
it. That's news.
That
was Stadia, yeah.
I do not remember the process that got us to that discussion at the end there, but anyway, that's Sandbox.
It was a wonderful ride for you, though, wasn't it, audience?
It was a romp and a riot. I have absolutely no movie news. I apologise to the audience if there is movie news that happened this week. I cannot think of anything that's happened. I cannot find anything that's happened, and I don't think anything has happened.
There we have it, a Sandbox exclusive. Nothing has happened in the world.
Nothing has happened. I'm pretty sure Ewan McGregor confirmed that Jon Favreau wasn't involved in the Obi-Wan Kenobi series. That's something I can think of that happened. Yeah, I'm kind of sad about that, but we'll see who else is involved. Maybe Dave Filoni will still be in there. Probably not, because it's not related to Rebels and stuff, but I don't know. Anyway.
So this is the part of the podcast where we talk about what we've been playing and watching.
Yes.
You can start with your watching. I've only been playing. I have not watched anything. Other than WandaVision, I haven't watched anything. So
I also haven't watched anything other than WandaVision. So should we just talk about WandaVision now?
I don't think we should.
I think we should save that for the end.
Because this episode is going to be coming out on the day that the next episode is out.
Yeah.
So it will be immediately outdated information. So I think we should wait. You
think we should skip WandaVision altogether?
I think it depends on when we film. But all right. What we'll do. Give me your impressions. Is this impressions of episode 4? Give
Okay,
it to me.
because I do have a lot to say
But
about episode
no
4.
theory. So no theory crafting. Just
Fair.
what you thought. Yeah.
Let's not make this outdated, because all I really want to say is that we were so incredibly wrong last week. We were like, oh, every week's going to be a new decade, and then by the end you're going to get the modern day episode where everything's revealed. We got that this episode where everything was revealed.
No, I disagree with that.
How can you disagree? That's just what we said.
It was not everything that revealed.
Okay, that's fair enough.
The show is still progressing by 10 years every episode.
But we thought that every week was going to be another 10-year decade progression, and that at the end we'd have a modern day episode. That's what we said. But
I still think
next
it's
week,
happening.
It will, but next week is still going to be the 70s, 80s episode. It's still going to be the 80s episode. So it's not going to be like a week by week thing, because this episode was the modern day episode. And we're probably going to get now the modern day interspersed with the TV show.
No, I disagree.
Do you?
I still think that we're right, and I still this was not the modern day episode. This was not an episode in WandaVision at all. It was completely outside of the TV show WandaVision.
Okay, yeah, I know what you mean.
I still think it's going to be a modern day.
Though. I thought the last episode... No, I know what you mean, because this wasn't the modern day sitcom episode of WandaVision.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Yeah.
But that's what I expected by the end. I thought the modern day sitcom episode would also be the sword, this is what's happening outside episode.
Okay.
Yeah, it's very confusing when you're talking about a TV show that contains a TV show.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was very surprised by it. I do agree that there's more happening. They're trying to throw red herrings at us.
Yes, definitely.
But I really like the episode, though. It was just completely not what I expected. I've been watching it with my mum, who knows very little about the MCU, so I keep explaining things, and she very much enjoyed this episode. It felt like Marvel's take on X-Files, which was quite fun.
I thought it was really good, and the side characters, yes, please give us.
Jimmy and Darcy are a perfect duo.
They actually
somehow they're a great pick. It's really cool. It's very interesting. We got some backstory about Captain Marvel's friends, Monica Rambeau, and what was her mum called, like Angela Rambeau or something.
Photon.
Yeah, the reversing snap at the beginning was incredible. The whole hospital scene.
Yes, I loved that so much. We are overrun here. It's so cool.
Especially in this current climate. It's like, oh god, you know how terrible that is. Yeah, I thought it was a really, really good episode. I thought it was great. I love seeing more Snap stuff. I hope they keep doing stuff with the Snap forever, because it's such an interesting concept. And they're very much addressing the real world issues that you would face with it.
Infinity War came out years and years ago now. Like what?
5
3?
years?
4?
Yeah.
4? 4?
Probably 4.
And they're still addressing it. It's great.
Yeah, and they need to. It was only 3 years ago. Yeah, I went way overboard with my theory. Last year's been 5 years to me. Yeah, they need to, because there's so much more you can do with it. And people keep asking things smugly, like, oh, but what about this? Surely this would happen. And then it did happen.
Yeah.
Which is very cool. Yeah, I really love the show. The Vision corpse jump scare was amazing. I love the insinuation that perhaps she's just animating Vision's corpse and that's what everyone else is seeing. It's really cool.
I still... This is getting into theory crafting. I'm not going to say anything, but
you can say things. It's fun for people to watch out-of-date theories be horribly wrong the day of the next episode.
I was going to say, I still think there's going to be a big baddie. I still think there's going to be a villain.
Like a Marvel-esque villain, yeah. Maybe we'll get Ultron's return, like we said.
Let's not talk about that. I do think, I think the episode was really interesting. I think that it was very short.
It felt it for sure.
Yeah, it was over very quickly,
Mm.
and I think it's because it was very exciting. All of the episodes have been short.
Yeah,
I feel like with when they do the show format, as in their black and white format, it shouldn't be any longer than 20-25 minutes.
yeah.
But when they go back to modern day and have all the cool MCU stuff, you want more of it.
You do. It was interesting as well, because we talked a lot last week about we weren't happy that at the end they showed what happened to Monica Rambeau, because it would have been cool if they left us guessing more and left us unsure if Wanda had killed her maybe or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But this episode feels like it kind of justified that, because now it's like they fully explained what happened. Okay, they've taken the show in a different direction to what we expected, and maybe our theories are completely wrong and they're very much trying to put us in one direction. And even if we do know what's going to happen, even if our theories are right, it's still so much fun. I don't even really care.
Yeah. No, I'm actually... They've done the right thing here, because revealing what the whole... we don't actually know as of episode 4 what's going on, really. But revealing the whole thing outside and the whole force field bubble, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
If they had then not mentioned that, that would have been a terrible mistake, because when they eventually, if they were to leave that until the last episode, like, that's not surprising in any way. Like, they've already shown us it. So they've actually said, no, we're showing you this. There's more to this. It's
great. And Jimmy and Darcy acting as audience surrogates is just hilarious. Like,
the
they've
hexagon.
got their whiteboard. Like, why are there hexagons? Why is this a sitcom? Why all this stuff? And like, they keep asking Darcy questions. She's like, "It's a sitcom." I'm like, okay, but where's that laughter coming from? She's like, "It's a sitcom."
Yeah, I don't like her character. At all. But she was the most bearable by far in WandaVision.
This is something I'd like to address. Everyone hates Darcy's character, and even when I went back and watched the Thor films, I really like her character. People hate her. I do get it.
She's just like intentionally so annoying, like beyond belief.
Yeah, I just don't mind her. For me, she's like Princess Vanellope in Wreck-It Ralph.
But there's all these spectacular things going on, and she's just like, I don't know, like Thor teleports through a wormhole and appears, and he's got, he's all this lightning and stuff, and she's like, wow, he's attractive. I'm like, man, what?
Is like,
no one would say that. No one would say that.
The worst of the Marvel humor, where it's like, put a button at the end of the scene and then cut to the next one. But I like her character. I like her character because when he says Mjolnir, she says, Mjolnir? What's Mjolnir? And now I always refer to Mjolnir as Mjolnir.
Yes. That's probably like the only thing that was kind of funny that she said.
I do agree, though, that she was by far at her best in WandaVision. They'd allowed her to grow up a bit. She's got her PhD and everything, but she's still the same sort of, sarcastic character. She was
a lot more enjoyable,
especially opposite Jimmy,
in a more leading role compared to being the annoying sidekick, for sure.
Yeah.
So
that's what we'll have to say about WandaVision.
I also watched Guardians of the Galaxy 2 again yesterday. That's what I'm up to, by the way.
What do you think?
Guardians of the Galaxy 2. Obviously, I've already seen it. Obviously,
But what did you think upon rewatch?
It's really interesting. At that point in the MCU, I think it has the best set design, the best the aliens. There's so much practical effects that all the characters have, and it's so high quality and so tactile, I think is the word I'd use. Like, everything feels real and cool, and you really believe the world that they're in.
Yeah.
But the movie is horribly paced. The pacing is just terrible, and they keep trying to make it into a music video, but they always make it into a music video at the most awkward, inappropriate times, and there's like slow motion effects when there shouldn't be slow motion effects. Like, there's no build up. It's like, oh, I guess we're doing this now. There's scenes which, okay, can I give you an example? It's very specific, but it really annoyed me. Drax and lady with antenna, who I forget her name.
Mantis.
That's it, Mantis. They're talking, and she's about to tell Drax, you know, there's something going on this planet. I need to tell you. And then Gamora comes from behind and interrupts her, and then she's like, "Oh, nothing." And then they then immediately cut to them walking. They're in a different place on this planet. They're walking back, back to their bed or whatever. Yeah. The three of them. This happens immediately afterwards, and Gamora says, "So what were you going to tell? What were you and Drax talking about?" You don't do that scene like that.
Yeah, you need a scene in between.
You have her immediately ask her right as she walks in on them.
Yeah.
Or, like you said, have it sandwiched with something else.
Yeah.
It was like really weird, and the whole movie's like that.
That's really funny, because I was actually going to say I remember feeling that when I watched it, and if you had those thoughts and then you immediately brought it up. I think I mean I did really enjoy the movie, but I was slightly disappointed by it just because I loved the first one so much. I don't think it was ever going to like live up to it. I think for me as well, part of it is the first one has this space hop-in story where they go to all these different cool locations and planets and stuff. And this one doesn't have that at all. But at the beginning, it feels like it's going to maybe. And then they get to Ego's planet, and then it's just there for the rest of the movie. Yeah. But it feels weird because, I don't know, it feels like they should be moving around, but they don't. It feels
very weird. Exactly.
And it's not like they get there early on. They get there at kind of a weird moment within the act structure.
Yeah, that's what I mean. The pace is something is so off with the pacing.
Yeah.
They have a lot of jokes which just don't land at all. Like, they firmly fall flat on their face. They are many, many, many times throughout the whole movie where the joke is basically someone laughing. That is the joke. Like, something will happen and Drax will go, ah! That happens like 7-8 times.
Yeah. Yeah, after the first movie, they really went all in on Drax's laugh.
You've got... there's a scene where the Ravagers are ambushing Rocket, Groot, and Nebula. And then, obviously, you've got Rocket setting traps and stuff.
Yeah.
And it's, as a purely visual and a concept thing, it's a very cool idea. Like, Rocket has booby-trapped the whole area. Very, very cool idea.
Yeah.
And it's filmed in a very, like, cool way.
Yeah.
But it completely doesn't fit with the music they play. And,
what music do they play on that bit?
It's I can't remember. It's also completely incorrectly paced. Like, it's... Yeah. I can't really describe it very well in words. It's very difficult to put my finger on exactly what I'm trying to go for here. But it felt so... It should have had a lot of impact, and it didn't. There was just no impact at all.
I think it's like when you look at... Not that every movie has to be formulaic and the same, but when you look at like the hero's journey structure of this is what happens in the story, it just doesn't feel like it fits that quite right. And everything happens at a weird moment. And it like you say, it makes the pacing feel weird. And I do think it's kind of at its worst when it's trying to emulate the first movie, like trying to have music videos for all these songs and
but the concept,
trying to Drax's laugh, for example,
like the story in itself is absolutely fine. Like, I think the story is pretty cool, and like I said, I think it's a beautiful movie, and I think some of the places they go are spectacular and so well done. and there's some. There are. I'm not going to say it's not a funny. There are some There are moments in the movie when I laughed a lot. Like there were some very funny moments in that movie.
Yeah.
Was
that a train horn?
That's a train horn. That is why I have my noise cancellation software usually on.
I only very vaguely heard it, but yeah.
But yeah, weird movie. And you have the whole. I can't remember the name. The Sovereign. They are really cool. Like that is they are brilliant. That whole thing.
Yeah, they're little like arcade shooter things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's probably the best part of the movie. Actually, I love that.
I like that. I think the movie would have benefited more from being space hopping, and you could have fit that plot in. Maybe they find Ego's planet at the beginning, and then he goes on an adventure with them, and then they have the final battle back at his planet or something. I don't know. Or he spends the whole movie looking for them, and they don't meet him until the end, and then there's the immediate evil reveal or something. I don't know. It feels like it needed more adventure because it felt kind of disjointed with them being on the planet, Rocket and Yondu being elsewhere, them trying to meet up. It felt too slow paced considering how much they usually get done in such a short amount of time. Also, in the first film,
the whole Rocket and the Rocket Groot and Yondu. Like that is a great taken in its own group. That is a great it's a great group, and that is potentially a really cool scene in the movie.
Yeah.
But they have the joke where Groot keeps bringing them the wrong item. Goes on for too long. It's like it's funny the first couple of times, and it's like, wow, they're gonna do this joke for like 5 minutes, really?
Yeah, Baby Groot's another one where they really went all in on that.
And we've got Taserface, which is actually a really funny bit where Rocket gets them all to laugh. Again, the joke is that people are laughing, which they do too often anyway. Yeah. But it is funny because of all the people laughing hysterically, and it's really funny. And
I'm pretty sure that's like a meta joke because his name is actually Taserface in the comics.
That's brilliant.
So they're just taking the piss out of how stupid it is.
Yeah, and like you've got all these like really gross guys, like all just it's like spitting, and that's funny. But then they keep mentioning Taserface. It's like, oh, come on.
Yeah, they do it for ages and ages. No, yeah, I do agree, and it's like they could have fit more in. Yeah,
and like, there's a bit where. Sorry, I'm being very in depth because I literally watched this yesterday.
No, that's fine. It's interesting.
There's a scene where, again, it's Taserface gag. He's about to burn. He's about to die, and he's talking to the Sovereign, and he's saying, "Tell them that Taserface died for blah 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 blah." And she starts laughing. Again, laughing joke, and I just felt like they really butchered that joke. What they could have done is she could have asked him who he was, and then she laughed. But instead, it was the ship's going down. That they're on the way to planet. Or they say something like they're escaping. They're in this sector. Like he could have said, she could have asked him who his name was, but instead he said, and then you must let them know that it was I, Taserface, who gave you this information. It just feels like they really tried way too hard to just fit that in.
Dialogue. Yeah. And you know what else would have worked well with that joke? If they had done the laugh once at the beginning, where Rocket takes the piss out of his name and all of his people laugh at his joke, and then once where she laughs, because then it's like they're calling back to the first time.
Yeah.
But because there's so much in between those two moments where they're taking the mick out of his name, then by the time it cuts to her, you think she's going to laugh at his name.
Yeah. If you don't mind, I've been talking a lot. I really, really want to talk to you about the medium.
I care immensely if you're going to do that. No, do it.
Okay, please say if you've got anything you want to now talk about as well, though.
I have a brief game to mention at the end.
Why don't you do that first to break up my voice?
People do hate your voice. So we played Unrailed
It's a good game.
recently. Was that like a week ago now? I don't remember. But it's a very good game. We had a lot of fun playing it, and there's now a video of us playing it online. Have I talked to you about the single player mode?
No, you haven't.
I wanted to briefly mention this. I am going to do a full review as well.
Okay.
I'm currently working on that, and that will be released in future. But I just wanted to say how great the single player mode is, because it's really cool. But basically, you're paired up with an AI. You can't play it on your own. You have to have an AI with you, and it's a little robot. And there's like a little emoji wheel where you can speak to each other.
Yeah.
In single player mode, you use that to instruct the AI what to do.
Oh my goodness, that sounds difficult.
It's really not. It sounds like it would be, but it works so well. And the AI just does everything exactly as you want it to do so perfectly. You can even set it a path. You hold down L2 and you get a little cursor and you can choose what you want it to do, where you want it to do it. And it's all just so well created, and it works so well that it feels kind of like multiplayer, where you feel like you're working with someone, but you still have control. The AI is good, but not too overpowered. I just wasn't expecting it at all. It's really well made single player.
That sounds very good way of getting around the limitations.
Not having people to play with. Yeah, it's really good. I played it for absolutely ages single player, and I thought I could play way more of this. It's really good stuff. Yeah, I really loved it. There's a lot to that game. If you do get it, we should play it again, because it's so much fun.
Yeah, we should actually.
There's after the snow biome, there's a Halloween biome that has lava that you can't bridge across, but also the screen just will randomly turn upside down at moments, and you have to play upside down. It's crazy. It's so good.
It sounds so stressful.
It's great. Versus mode is really good. The screen is split vertically, so you've got the top and bottom, and you're pitted against each other.
That's very cool.
But if it's only one of you each, then again you get an AI to play with, so it's quite fun because you're also testing your ability to utilize the AI. It's a really good game. There's a surprising amount to it. I love it.
It is a very good game, and yeah, I was shocked by its depth. Pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen it ages before, loads of footage and stuff, but thought, oh yeah, that looks kind of like a little overcooked thing. That looks like it'll be fun, but in my opinion, it's far better. It's really cool. That's pretty much it for me. Swing us on over to the medium.
Oh, before I talk about the medium, very, 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 very quickly, been playing the Monster Hunter Rise demo.
Oh, yeah.
I pre-ordered that game. It's really, really good.
Is it really good?
Yeah.
You could do a little video on that if you were so inclined.
I haven't got a capture card, but
gosh
maybe.
Darn.
I
forget that little sniglet in the plan.
So, the medium.
Yeah.
Go and check out our review.
Yeah.
I quite like that review, actually, if I do say so myself.
I very much enjoyed the review.
And I had a mainly negative opinion.
Yeah.
So it's very weird. They have it's like they have these systems in place where there is so much viability to do some really ingenious puzzle design.
Yeah.
And they never actually realize that potential.
Yeah.
It's like they had made like a basis for a game and should have, instead of shipping the product, they should have spent more time really going into like nitty gritty and making the puzzles so much harder and cooler.
Yeah.
So basically, the game, you're a medium and you split at certain points between the real world and the spirit world. and certain things exist in, exclusively in the real world, and some exist exclusively in the spirit world.
Yeah.
So you can see some very clear, very obvious puzzles that they can do with that concept.
Yeah, sure.
And that's basically all they do. Most puzzles are the number of times there's like a lever missing on an item. There's like that happens quite often. The lever's missing, and like the lever's just down literally just down the corridor. It's not even Resident Evil. If there's a lever missing, you're going to have to find that like way further down the line, and then remember where that lever was from way back before.
Yeah. And it's like, it's fair enough that you've got this changed dimensions thing, but realistically, you're just walking to the lever and walking back to where you need to put the lever.
No, but like sometimes you have to change dimension for that. Sometimes it's literally just in the real world, you just literally pick up a lever from down the corridor.
I think I was watching a video where someone was playing Zelda the other day, and this is me quoting someone else, but they mentioned an Ego Raptor quote where he criticised some classic Zelda puzzles and said, "You're not puzzle solving, you're just doing things." And I think that's a perfect example of that.
Yeah, it is like that. It's an extremely linear game.
Yeah,
the character movement is really janky. I said in the review that it's a very good looking 3D environment.
Yeah, and
obviously it's a fixed camera like old PlayStation 1 games.
Yeah,
and in those PlayStation 1 games, you would have a bit of a disconnect between the 2D pre-rendered backgrounds and your 3D character.
Yeah,
you still have that disconnect in this game. It's like the player is the animations are not very good, and you kind of don't really feel like you're actually interacting with the world. It's very stiff and rigid, and
it's a little too inspired by the old Resident Evil game.
Yeah, there's times when you kind of you have to do things in a very specific order for no real reason. Like say, you can't walk down that corridor yet. Why? Like, you haven't listened to this one thing, which doesn't change anything.
Yeah.
Did I really have to do that?
What is it, like invisible walls where you just can't?
There's a example of an invisible wall in the review where.
Oh yeah, she says something, doesn't she?
She's like, "No, not now."
Yeah.
No. Now, you have that all the time in like PlayStation 2, PlayStation 1 and 2 games. But games have gotten to a point now where you don't. I do think like a good modern game like that, you just kind of where you're going.
Yeah. Because
the game gives you subtle clues as to which way you should be going.
Yeah, and that's very immersion breaking.
It is.
I mean, quite an unfair example, but God of War is a fairly linear game. At least the main quest line is very linear, but it the world changes to allow you to access certain places and to know where you're going throughout. There's no Kratos saying, "I cannot go here yet," and then like turning around.
Exactly, like Resident Evil, which is close comparison. There's a very specific set of things that you do in a specific order, really.
Yeah.
But you never really. You can go anywhere. There's no. I don't know. You don't feel like you're being as boxed in. You are boxed in.
Yeah.
But it doesn't make you feel like you're boxed in, and that's a big difference.
It's quite an easy solution, surely. Just lock a door, and then once she does something, the door inexplicably unlocks. That's fine.
Yeah, it's better than just having an area you can't walk down.
Yeah, or just put a key with the whatever she needs to find, and then she can unlock that door and find the thing in one. I don't know. There's surely ways around.
There's a monster in it. That's another thing. The game isn't scary at all.
Oh,
it's not even remotely scary in any way.
even I heard people say like, oh, it's more of an atmosphere game than a jump scare game, but I don't know, it looks more drama thriller maybe than maybe not
there's
even thriller.
there's very little. There's no thrills. It's literally just there's no action. There's no tension in any way.
Yeah.
The only real emotion I had for most of the game was boredom, and
Gee.
I think the story.
What a review!
the story is actually really good. I thought the story was actually really good. It felt like it was a chapter or two in a story. It felt very much incomplete. Like you finished the game and it's like, it finished here. There's very much definitely plans to be a sequel. I guarantee you. Which is, it's a bit of a shame when games do that, because you want there to be possibility for a sequel,
but you want a self-contained story as well.
You want to feel like you've done something.
Yeah.
It feels like you haven't done anything.
Yeah, that's really annoying and upsetting.
I just think that the puzzles are too easy to justify how linear it is.
Yeah.
There's like cover stealth elements, but they're like as bland as they come. Not very scary and very sparse. There's like 3 stealth sections in the game.
From what I've seen, going back more to like the tone, it looks more like an emotional afterlife story would be better suited. Like they should have lent into that direction. Like, oh, she's helping these poor souls out or something. I feel like that would have been a better way to take it. Or I guess just make it scary.
No, she does help some souls out.
I know.
I'm being like, okay, I need to like rephrase the way I'm talking about this game. I'm being very mean here. It's not like they didn't mean to make this game not that good, right? I feel like I'm being a little bit harsh. I'm being a bit harsh with the way I'm wording this.
Yeah.
I still stand by. I still found it boring. I think I'm being a little bit harsh in the way I'm wording it. I think the reason why I'm being a bit harsh is because there's actually a lot of potential, and by the end of the game, you are given this tiny sliver of a very genuinely cool puzzle, and it's like, why didn't you do that? That's like the end of the game. Like,
it's like
why didn't you do that? Like that would have been. Oh, I can't. Oh, I guess I could spoil it.
You can spoil it. I don't think I'm going to play at this point.
So you're able to project yourself out of your body into the spirit world.
Yeah.
So your normal body just stays behind, and your astral body then moves around.
Yeah.
And you can only do that for a temporary amount of time before you have to go back to your original body.
Yeah.
And right at the end of the game, you have to get past a monster, and the puzzle to get past him is that you project your body out and run past him, just attracting his attention. You run down a corridor, he chases you, and then you snap out of your astral body, and then your real body can then run where he was standing before.
Yeah.
And that's actually, that sounds that's like what you would normally consider to be a very average example of using that mechanic.
I mean, to me, that sounds like the first puzzle that you would have to explain that functionality.
Exactly. And that's literally the best puzzle in the whole game. And that's right at the end of the game.
Yeah, no, it feels like there's so much more you could do with that. Especially because puzzle games nowadays is like stuff like, I don't know, the Pedestrian or the Witness or Portal or stuff. Like, they do so much with their, what do you call it? Their concepts, I guess. They kind of escalate quite quickly, but in a way that the player can understand what's happening and what they need to do next. Maybe not in The Witness. That's confusing as hell. But yeah, it's like you need to kind of go all out with these puzzles.
Yeah.
Especially something like that. It's not really that unique of a concept.
No, it's not.
Um,
It's a damn shame. The setting is in Poland in the 90s. The setting's really cool. They have a lot of very heavy themes. Very heavy themes. It's a very dark character in particular. It has like these glimmers of really cool ideas, which is why I think I'm being so harsh. It's because
you can see the potential.
There's like things they could have done which wouldn't have actually taken that much effort on their part.
Yeah.
Because they've got the framework. They've got the framework for a really cool game. They just didn't quite come together in the end.
Yeah. Well, I have heard pretty mixed things about it, and most negative things I've heard are people saying that it doesn't really fulfill the potential.
It's not even really a game. It's kind of...
Is it like a walking simulator?
It's like borderline interactive movie, honestly. The amount... It's so linear, and there's so little interactivity. It's not even... Yeah. And the split screen, when you've got the whole split reality,
world and the real world.
It visually, it's so cool. You have... It looks really cool, the whole idea of that. And there are some very cool things they could have done with it. But it amounts to nothing. And also wrecks your frame rate, which is a whole other thing.
Oh man.
But yeah. That's the
medium.
I realised I was being too harsh because it is made by a small developer, and they made Layers of Fear, which I really like.
I didn't realise they made Layers of Fear.
Yeah, and I think Layers of Fear is really scary and different. Yeah. So,
yeah. That's probably why they felt they had to go more in the horror route.
It's just not scary.
Yeah,
that's yeah.
That's the medium.
If it had been scary, that would have massively improved it.
Yeah, definitely.
They could have gotten away.
Even if it is like an interactive movie or something, at least it's got that going for it. Yeah. But if the plot's making you bored, then there's not really anything there.
No, the plot's fine. The plot was actually the only thing that was fine about the game.
Okay, that's fair.
And the visuals. The plot and the visuals were top notch.
Just the gameplay itself.
When I say visuals, I purely mean the visuals. The animations were pretty terrible.
You said this in your review. I think it was a cool idea of them to put masks on all the ghosts.
Yeah, the characters
creepy.
Are very stiff.
Yeah.
But then they do a close-up on the main character, and it's like, it looks very awful because of the animation, but... My goodness, the level of detail in this person's skin. It was like, I could see the pores in her skin. It was like, it was crazy high detail.
It's like next gen graphics with old gen animations.
Yeah, kind of, yeah.
Yeah. Fair enough. Jamie gives that a medium score.
I like it.
Thank you. I've been waiting to use that one.
I think
for the past
that probably
2 hours.
Ends the podcast now, doesn't it?
I think
Unless you have anything else to add?
I've got nothing else to add. I've done hardly anything this week, and it seems like nothing in the world has happened.
That is kind of...
Except we vaccinated over 10 million people in the country. But,
does that mean
we're only interested in video games.
Does that mean vaccinated once?
Once.
So, when it comes up saying 150 million people, 150 million, that would then mean that the entire population has been vaccinated twice. Is that what that means? Or is that...
Yeah, but it wouldn't be that many, would it? There's only, 66 million people in the country?
75 million.
Is there?
Yes.
Man. Oh, there's only 55 million over 18s, which are the ones they need to vaccinate.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah, that makes sense, I guess. 20 million kids. Sounds about right.
That's Sandbox for you.
This is the new part of the podcast where we discuss science that we have no understanding of.
Bye.
Bye.